Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Clown World today with your host, me. And in today's dystopia, we're going to talk about definitions. Now, if I may direct your attention to the screen here, we have a tweet from a Mr. Christopher Rufo. This was brought to my attention yesterday, and he says Cambridge Dictionary just dropped a new definition of woman. Now, if you're following Matt Walsh at all, you'll know that he's been asking the question for a long time, what is a woman? And a lot of people who subscribe to a particular ideology have a hard time answering that. Well, Cambridge Dictionary to the rescue. Now, they're saying that a woman is an adult who lives and identifies as female, though they may have been said to have a different sex at birth. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but like 5 minutes ago, I believe they were saying that sex and gender were not related. That gender was a social construct and that man and woman were terms of gender, male and female were terms of sex. And yet, this definition includes the term female, a sex term, whatever you want to call it. Now, Twitter actually came up when I first saw this post. Twitter actually came up and said that users have added context to the definition by saying that the original definitions are in there, saying that it's an adult human female. Now, I rated that as irrelevant because that context actually misses the point. What it is, it's about subverting language. Now, I do have the actual Cambridge definition pulled up, and here it does say an adult female human being is the first definition. She's a really nice woman. A woman and two men were arrested the day after the explosion, yada yada yada. But just under that, the second definition, an adult who lives and identifies as female, though they may have been said to have a different sex at birth. And the same can be said for man. First definition, an adult male human being, a young, tall man, men and women, the man in the green jacket. But the second definition, the second most important definition as proposed by Cambridge, an adult who lives and identifies as male, though they may have been said to have a different sex at birth. Again, it's subversion of language. Now, if I may direct your attention, there's a man by the name of Yuri Bezmenov. If you're familiar, you know exactly where I'm going with this. And he talks about how to demoralize a society, to subvert a society. He was a previous KGB agent, defected to the United States, and ended up giving lectures and interviews over the destabilization of societies and how that's done. Now, this is an excerpt from a lecture that he gave, and I just kind of want to read it to you. The first stage of subversion is the process, which is called basically demoralization. It says for itself what it is. It takes from, say, 15 to 20 years to demoralize a society. Why 15 or 20 years? This is a time sufficient to educate one generation of students or children. One generation, one lifetime span of a person, a human being which is dedicated to study, to shaping up. The outlook, ideology, personality, no more, no less. Usually it takes from 15 to 20 years. What it includes? Now keep in mind, it's not going to translate properly because English is his, second, third language, something like that. Regardless, it includes influencing or by various methods, infiltration, propaganda, methods, direct contacts. It really doesn't matter. I will describe them later. Various areas where public opinion is formulated or shaped. Religion, educational system, social life, administration, law enforcement, military, of course, and labor and employer relations. Now, we can already see several of these coming about. Now, I would argue as far as where he says it takes 15 to 20 years to demoralize a society, he might be right on that. But he's saying that it was too late back in 1984. Orwellian much? But he's saying this back in the 80s. Now, obviously, it's 2022 going on 2023. We are seeing the culmination of what's been going on for a long time. Religion. Now, there has been a concerted effort by many people to discredit and delegitimize specifically Christianity, which I might add has been the prominent religion in the United States basically since its conception. And it's not fully unwarranted. Obviously, there were some things that were done in the name of Christianity that are morally questionable at best. But the problem is that when they go in and they delegitimize these kinds of things, is that they question the merits of such a belief system. A belief system which has guided many societies for centuries, before even the inception of the United States. They're subverting the educational system. We'll go in a little bit deeper into that here in just a few minutes, but things like, gender ideology and all these different things. Social life. Again, language. How we communicate our language informs or almost dictates how we think. Administration, government, law enforcement system, defund the police. Does that sound familiar? We have a lot of police officers who, the good ones, have left because they have no public support. And the bad ones who just don't care, who only do it for the paycheck, are left. Military, jab mandates, things along those lines. All these different things, labor and employer relations, economy, all these different things are basically, from my point of view, seemingly on the brink of collapse. Now I can move on. So he goes on to discuss each area which is facing demoralization, specifically education. Distract them from learning something which is constructive, pragmatic, efficient. Instead of mathematics, physics, foreign language, chemistry, teach them history of urban warfare, natural foods, home economy, your sexuality, anything, as long as it takes you away. Basically, as long as it takes you away from learning anything that can make you productive. As long as you are taught the basics to make it to where you can be an effective cog in the machine, you can do what your betters tell you, and that's fine. But they will subvert any sort of entrepreneurship, any sort of critical thinking, and replace it with all these things. Social life. Replace traditionally established institutions and organizations with fake organizations. Take away the initiative from people. You take away responsibility from naturally established links between individuals, groups of individuals, and society at large, and replace them with artificially, bureaucratically controlled bodies. Instead of social life and friendship between neighbors, establish social workers' institutions, people on the payroll of whom? Society? No, bureaucracy. The main concern of social workers is not your family, not you, not social relations between groups of people. The main concern is to get the paycheck from the government. And who knows best? The government knows best. That's why they want to grow it. They want you dependent on the government. And so on and so forth. He goes on to talk about power structure, law enforcement, things along those lines. But basically what I'm getting at here is, as Rita says, ceding linguistic territory to the radical left. What could go wrong? As I said, you allow the changing of definitions on shaky ground. You're ceding that ground to people who would subvert your way of thinking, your traditional values, if you have traditional values. And with that comes this. Dog man, regular man. baggage thief. All government officials, colonel, admiral, bald man, woman. And these are legitimate people, and they have been legitimized by our society, and their identities affirmed through the subversion of this language. We can call this thing a woman if we want. I'm sure there are probably certain things I shouldn't be saying on YouTube, but, you know, that's just kind of how I see it. I kind of stand alongside the Babylon Bee in their original stance as far as this individual is concerned, but that's neither here nor there. So, with that, welcome to our modern dystopia. Just another day. Anyway, have a good day, y'all. Peace. Go pick up something hip.